and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe, right here in Lagos. And of course, for the first time since 2021, the Super Eagles of Nigeria got a World Cup qualification win. That was against Rwanda. Nigeria has never beaten Rwanda in Rwanda, but this time around, they were able to do it, courtesy of 2 goals from Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen also playing his first goal for the qualifiers for Nigeria. Since the last 4 games Nigeria has played, he hasn't been able to play. He came on and, of course, he gave Nigeria the 2 goals. So we can say the World Cup qualification is back on track. Yes, this is Sports Night. Of course, we will also be talking about the NPFL Nigeria Premier Football League tonight on the show. Match day 30 will be getting our attention on the show tonight. And we also take a look at the Southwest Games that is coming up in Lagos next week. These and many more on Sports Tonight on the show. Austin, you ready to join in?
What a greetings to you, Cecilia, and of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. Thank God it's Friday. Action-packed world of sports. Cecilia, despite that 2-0 win over the Amavubis of Rwanda, the Super Eagles are still in the dark. But you know what? They've taken a vital step towards the light. Can they win their remaining 5 games? I think it's still tough, but we'll see.
Each time I hear the word tough, I'm like, who are the teams we have in this group? But let's just give you a confirmation of what happened earlier today. You know that game was 5 p.m. Nigerian time. Of course, it ended at 7 p.m. Nigeria 2. And, of course, our opponent, Rwanda, won Rwanda 0. So 2-0 Nigeria winning Group C for the CAF Qualifications World Cup. You know, for Mexico, Canada, and the USA. That's where the World Cup will be taking place. South Africa, of course, also won their game, and this did not do Nigeria any good, simply because if you look at the table right, and that's what we'll see right about now, what is looking like Nigeria are on, take a look at this. You have 6 teams in the group. You've got South Africa, by virtue of the win they had earlier today. Now, after 5 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and goal difference of 3 for Benin Republic. On after 5 matches, they've got 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss, and goal difference of 1 on 8 points. Rwanda, Nigeria played against. They've won 2 games so far, losing 2, drawing 1, goal difference 0. Of course, they are on 7 points. And Nigeria occupying the 4th spot here after 5 games. The first win they recorded in the World Cup qualifying series. They've drawn 3, losing 1, and of course, goal difference of 1 on 6 points. Lesotho, followed by Otsu. They've won just 1 game. They've lost 2, 2 draws, -1 and 5. You have Zimbabwe at the bottom of this group. Now, we've got guests that will be joining us on the show tonight. One is in London and 1 is in Nigeria. So, Emmanuel Etim is right there in Liverpool. No, in Liverpool, not in London. It's Austin that is making it. Austin is the reason I'm making this mistake. Emmanuel Etim is in Liverpool. You guys know Emmanuel Etim, right? You know that's... Okay, I won't praise him. So he's joining us on the show from Liverpool tonight, talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And of course, Akintunde Bada Johnson. It's been a long time I saw him, right? He's also joining us on the show tonight. And of course, we will be talking about the Super Eagles dissecting the game. We're going to be talking about all the things that went down earlier today. The new players who came in to actually, you know, add bite to the game. Not just the new players, the other players, the ones who haven't played before that came in. And we'll take a look at the statistics and the percentage and the input that these players made on the game against Rwanda. Emmanuel Etim is joining us. We'll start up with him before Akintunde Bada Johnson joins us.
Hi, Emmanuel. Good to have you join us on Sports Tonight. I don't know if you could hear Cecilia, but what's your take after seeing Rwanda 0, Nigeria 2?
Well, certainly I can hear. Good evening to you, Austin. Good evening also to Cecilia. It's amazing also to have Bada join in. Well, celebrations, that's it, Austin. The very first win in the qualifying series. It's very surprising. You know, when Cecilia was breaking down the points, I was just looking at the teams in the group. I didn't see Brazil, Argentina, or Paraguay. and Nigeria had to wait until match day 5 to record her first win. But we'll take this. It's the perfect way for Eric Shell's new era. It was a commanding display, and well done to the boys. I totally enjoyed every second of that game. It was a tactically successful battle.
Before we get into the tactics, let me get to Akintunde Bada right there in Lagos. Match day 5, Bada. Out of a possible 13 points, the Super Eagles now have 6. In Nigeria, that sort of result, you can't take it home to your parents, you know?
Well, the good thing is the qualifiers have only just hit the halfway mark. So it was a poor start. There's no debating that. There's no making an argument for. It's the reason we have a new manager. We made a false start and we had to course correct. And now there's a new sheriff in town. Obviously, you can see the new enthusiasm, the energy with which the team approached the game from the off, got an early goal. Had we done that in some of those other games that we drew, we would be in a much better place. When you play qualifiers, especially away on the African continent, it's difficult. Forget the names on paper. It's super difficult. It's a different context altogether. Speak to past Super Eagles players, speak to the current ones. They'll tell you how difficult it is to be on your travel on the African continent. Most pitches, this is no disrespect to African football, they're just not, they don't give you the opportunity to play the kind of football that Nigerians want to see. So it's about result at the end of the day. Today, not a lot was said about the weather. I've been to Kigali on an average twice every year in the last 5 years. The altitude is insane. There's a reason they call Kigali the city of 1,000 hills. So you could see by the 30th minute mark, most of the Super Eagles players were drenched. Their jerseys were soaked. Just half an hour of running on that pitch. So it was important we started well. It was important Osimhen got that early goal, I think on the 10th minute. That way, the Super Eagles could settle into sort of a defensive shape, play solid and hit on the break. And it was on the breakaway that Osimhen got the second goal just before the halftime. And the second half, Emmanuel says he enjoyed every minute of that game. I didn't. The second half was a ball.
Yeah.
There was really nothing to excite in the second half because it was about game management for Nigeria. It was about not overextending themselves, knowing that there's a game on Tuesday to be played, there's a game to be won on Tuesday. So, Austin, yes, bats that, but if we go on and win our 5 remaining games, we give ourselves a huge opportunity to still be amongst the teams that will be at the World Cup in the US, Canada, and Mexico.
I get some of the things you talked about, particularly with the way the team approached the game and how they were switching formations, trying to adapt to whatever the Rwandans were doing. I saw them switch that for about 3 times. But Emmanuel, let's look at the team. You talk about tactics, strategies, because this lineup, I looked at the lineup and I said, this is Jose Pizarro's team. This is Finidi George's team. This is Leguavoin's team. Is it same old same?
But in terms of personnel, yes, it's same old same, Austin. The man would only work with the players he has. And it wasn't up to a year we were playing in the final of the African Cup of Nations. You don't expect a complete overhaul of that setup. And in all fairness, most of the guys who achieved that level of success in Cote d'Ivoire, Austin, are still some of our best players. So I think it will be a tactical suicide for Eric Shell if he comes in and tries to quickly chop and change. So it was important for him to go with the best legs. You mentioned the lineup. Practically everyone who started today's game not only have form, but also experience for playing for the Nigerian team. And in the second 4 to 5, the only reason I make reference to excitement was, seeing a manager who could contain the opposition. We've got a 2-goal lead. There was really no need to hunt for goal number 3, because the moment you do that, the Rwandans hit on the break and get one. Yeah. With the sort of atmosphere they have out there, they would intimidate the Super Eagles players regardless of the exposure that they've attained over the years. So tactically, I think we were superior today. It was a perfect lineup, and I also salute him for some of the changes he made, notably, just throwing in that young man from Genk, who obviously no one proud to today might have heard of, and he came on, did the best he could. So overall, it was a game that would inspire confidence going into the next fixture against Zimbabwe.
Interesting. I mean, when you said, I completely agreed with but when he mentioned that I didn't enjoy the second part of the game, it was a bit boring. But I'm going to come to you here. Which other aspect do you think they could have maybe change for the team? Because yes, the first half was okay, but the second half wasn't there. We still see that midfield is still missing. And then the home-based players that was taken, we felt maybe the coach could have maybe given them an opportunity, especially when it was 80th minute when Tolu came on. Tolu acted as if he can't score. Maybe he's afraid to actually shoot. I mean, there was a move he made that could have continued, but he didn't. He passed the ball to the back. What are the few things you think that could have made a difference in this game?
To be honest, there isn't much I would have changed about the game. It was all about results, and we got the results. And I see a lot of people slandering Tolu on X, particularly talking about the number of times he passed the ball back. And I can tell you for free, without even talking to anyone out there in Kigali, that he was playing to the coach's instruction. When he came on, it was all about keeping possession. It was all about making sure that we didn't allow Rwanda to break on us and cause panic, in our defensive areas. So every time he got the ball, instead of going for a third goal, which Nigerians would really much would have loved to see, he kept the ball based on the instruction that he was given. So tactically, there isn't much I would have changed. I liked, how the fullbacks, for instance, wing backs, I should say, played in this game. Olaino this time playing on the left, as against on the right side where he plays regularly for Nottingham Forest. Osei Samuel on the right. The two of them created some of the best opportunities we had earlier on without necessarily leaving gaps behind them. And I thought Trustekong was massive. It was monstrous today. Every ball that the Rwandan team played into the box, he got his head to. When I thought Ndidi was a little bit sloppy in possession in the first half, but he got his game back on track. In terms of playing personnel on the bench, maybe Victor Boniface would have been one player I would have wanted to see, especially because we're cruising towards the end of the game. But I think it was, I don't remember which of the coaches said it about, Victor Boniface, not necessarily the most disciplined of players, So maybe when Tolu came on, that would have been him, but the coach just couldn't be sure that he was going to try to keep possession, because on so many occasions in the past, we've seen him get the ball, try to take players on, try a flick here and there. He likes to enjoy himself. And so as much as profile-wise and, reputation-wise, once Osimhen got off the pitch, the expectation most Nigerians held was that next up would be Victor Boniface. But the manager was true to what the game needed at that point in time. And it was discipline. It was playing to instruction and not trying to play to the gallery or excite anybody. The home-based players will get the opportunity. Today, the stakes were too high. For me, even if the manager wanted to take a chance on them, you could wreck them, because God forbid, if one of them plays a misplaced pass and the Rwandans get a goal, and then the whole nation gets on your back and says, why take such risks? But then let's get our qualification campaign back on track. Let's win our next game and the next one. And then the coach can start to take liberties and start experimenting. Right now, we have to be at 100 every single second of the remaining games. The margin for error, very, 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 very slim.
Interesting. Okay, let me quickly come to you, Emmanuel, before I take it back to Austin. Emmanuel, I mean, you watch Nigerian Premier League very well. You run commentaries for, so many games. You've seen, the guys play on the home front. Do you think he could have taken that risk, or you agree with Bada concerning the fact that he needed to keep it tight, play your best legs, and then this is not the time to really experiment, knowing what is really crucial?
Well, in your question lays the answer, Cecilia. This is not the time. It's genuinely not the time to experiment. Eric Chell is, I think, is a smart man. The provisional list had names that naturally shouldn't even be on the provisional list, just to, appease certain people. And the final shortlist was arguably the perfect. The only question mark, most would say, was Cyril not being a part of the list. But for the NPFL players, the players who have, affinity to the league, I genuinely think the players he selected, the Tornadoes boy and Kayode Bankole, there's no way, you start Kayode, in all fairness, ahead of Stanley Nwabali. It will be unforgivable. And like Bada rightly mentioned, it was, the stakes were too high, Cecilia. Up until the final game of the qualifiers, I don't think there should be any room for experiments. The best legs should play. If it means injecting them with legal substance to play, then you have to do it. So No time for experiments. When we have friendly matches after qualifying for the World Cup, you could start alternating and deciding to give impressions on those players. But the fact that they've been invited, Cecilia, tells you that they have quality to play for the Nigerian team.
I'll still stay with you, Emmanuel, Tim. And I like the fact that we understand that the stakes were so high, and so it couldn't really take a risk. But let's talk about the game against the Warriors of Zimbabwe. Today we saw a cautious Super Eagles side. Would you like to see them, get adventurous against Zimbabwe?
I'd like to see them win, Austin, first. How they achieved that is on Eric Shell and his technical team. But the Super Eagles have been known over the years to be an exciting team to watch, playing from the wings. And when you have maestros like JJ Okocha back in the days, excitement. But at the moment, based on circumstance, we should lay less emphasis on entertainment, but the results. It's unfortunate because a group like this with Rwanda, Lesotho, we should be delighting the fans and getting the results, but it's not the reality on ground. So I expect them to end that game in the first 45. I think the quality of personnel in the Super Eagles team is enough to score 3 goals against Zimbabwe in the first half, and then maybe in the second 45 you could chop and change. So I just expect a win. How they do it is left on the manager.
Brother, against Zimbabwe, would you start the same way? And you mentioned Wilfred Ndidi. If you are Eric Shell, would you tell him rest, Ralph Onyedika? Would you try options?
I don't think so. I think the most difficult thing to do when you come into the national team setup is to get a team, for a manager that is to get a team to be cohesive. A team, this guy's been like 2-3 days before the game, so preparation time is almost non-existent. So you want to build on what you've achieved in Kigali, as against chopping and changing, bringing new people in and disrupting the dynamic or the rhythm of the team. So the team didn't play badly. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but I wouldn't touch the personnel. I wouldn't touch that starting 11. I'd leave except if there were some niggles here and there. If there's an injury to a player and you don't want to take a risk. But if everyone is fit and healthy, I'll start exactly the same 11 against the Zimbabwe team. I saw them in their game last night. They seem to have a lot of runners. They like to run. Yeah. And that tells you that they're probably going to come, put a solid defensive shape together and try and break on us. So we will need to be very astute in possession. We will need to be very careful in how we play, especially with the guys who drive drive into pockets in between the lines. Today, we didn't see the most efficient Ademola Lookman, the one who drops into those pockets and links midfield and attack. And in the second half, I worried a little bit because he looked jaded. But again, I reminded myself of the role that the altitude at which they were playing could have had in his tiredness. But then it comes to familiar territory back at home in Uyo, where that will be more kind to the team, will be more friendly. I expect that he picks the same 11 and allows them to just start the game with great energy, great determination. When you play at home, it's always very key to get the first goal because we know ourselves. The moment it doesn't matter if you are playing premium Dogo Bonito or you are playing premium Tiki Taka. If you don't score, the mood in the arena can turn. And so I hope that for the sake of the team and the confidence of the team, that they get an early goal. If you get a quick start, then you can settle and start to express yourselves and go for the second one, go for the third one, go for the fourth one.
But I don't blame you. And we've seen stranger things with these Super Eagles. We saw Central African Republic come to stun us. Guinea-Bissau, we've struggled against Lesotho. So when you said what you said, I was like, you're very correct. In Uyo, just give us that possible 3-0.
Definitely agree with you. But let's just get confirmation of the games that will be played on Tuesday and how results will go the way of Nigeria if the other teams win. So we'll start off with Group C, Tuesday's fixtures, the CAF qualifications for the 2026 World Cup. Benin Republic and South Africa will be in action. And of course, this result might be a good one for Nigeria. Maybe a goalless game for them will put Nigeria second spot. calculation has started. So Nigeria-Zimbabwe will be another game. And of course, you have Rwanda and Lesotho. So these are the games for this window. So if Nigeria wins these games, and of course results go the way of Nigeria, they could move up to second on the log. We need to go on a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at results that went down in some of the matches that were played today. And of course, the NPFL is still there. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's take a look at other results that went down earlier today in the qualifications for the World Cup. The race is on. Burkina Faso beating Djibouti by 4 goals to nothing. DR Congo and South Sudan ended in favor of DR Congo 1-0. Botswana and Algeria Botswana 3-1 and South Africa participated in this game and ended in favor of the home team. So it happens that Nigeria and Algeria were the only team that won away from home in the qualifiers today. So, Emmanuel, let me come to you on this one. Yes, we are playing Zimbabwe on Tuesday. We've already established the fact that the coach may just want to continue using the same players that played against Rwanda. Are there things you feel he can actually change? Because we are playing at home, the advantage is there, knowing that our last game in the year wasn't quite pretty.
Well, it's cliche, but I agree with the saying that don't change a winning team. These boys have shown that they can be coordinated, they can be an organized bunch. I don't think there's much he can do in terms of altering the players. It's to motivate them. And in fairness, I don't think this Super Eagles side need motivation. They understand what it means to play at the World Cup. It would be, forgive me if I'm being sensational, but a disaster for the Nigerian team to miss out on consecutive World Cups. Qatar was supposed to be the perfect place for some of our superstars to shine. They failed to qualify, and there's an opportunity to be at a World Cup held in 3 different countries, which would be good for Nigerians to be present there. I don't think there should be much altering in that game, Cecilia. Just the same players, like Bada reiterated. Stick with the boys, except Osai Samuel, who was substituted. I think he picked up a knock. Hopefully he's fit enough for that game. But if he's missing, then there might be a bit of tactical change. But in terms of the players, the same squad, go into that game against Zimbabwe and get the job done.
Interesting. Brother, what do you think the coach can change? Or he will just, you said you want him to actually stick with that first 11 that he started today. Is there something that he can do differently in the game against Zimbabwe? Yes, I know we won 3 points, but then you know Nigerians will definitely want to see more goals and also a little bit of entertainment added to the football.
So first off, before I talk about what potentially can change, let me talk about what I liked a lot about the team. The wide men, both Moses Simon and Samuel Chukwueze on both sides, a lot of times tucked into the middle, you know, to make extra numbers. So we sort of overloaded the middle when we're playing forward, as against hogging the lines, hugging the touch lines and trying to get, you know, crosses in. So we didn't cross a lot of the balls. And that meant that we kept possession better, because when you keep crossing the ball, you present it back to the opposition. So, I mean, the manager is new. A lot of us haven't had enough opportunities to assess him. But I think my first impression was of him today was a pretty positive one. Because that tells me that this is a manager who actually understands tactics. Chukwueze, for me, when he had the opportunity to take his man on, didn't do so well, but this might be nitpicking, really. Because overall, I thought that the team played well and everyone sort of had a good showing. But in terms of, you know, being able to beat your man, use your pace, I'd like to see a lot more of that from Chukwueze particularly. Moses Simon also didn't really have a particularly good game, but that was because they were doing a lot of running backwards when we lost the ball, tracking their man, chasing people down, making the extra man in midfield, which we didn't see a lot in the first 4 games, if I'm being honest. So we've won because of the overall output of the team and the discipline and the organization and the tactical, you know-how of the manager and how he got his team to execute the plan. So I really don't want to say that we should be looking to even change personnel. You know,
okay.
Let's start the game. Maybe swap the wingers.
Okay.
So that Moses Simon, I think he even played that side in the second half towards the end. He played on the right side. He didn't get a lot of joy as well, and then he gassed out. See, trust me, I have done morning runs in Kigali pretty often, and I can tell you, it just takes your lungs out. Trust me. It takes that place. It's a city of 1,000 hills for a reason. So we've got to give the guys credit. I'm telling you, it's challenging people in that place. Expect a much energized, much fresher Super Eagles come Tuesday. So let's not change anything.
We'll see. Before we let you guys go, let me talk about this player that I believe, whenever he's at his best, the Super Eagles will play lovely football. Emmanuel Etim, what's your take on Alex Iwobi today?
Okay. Austin, I think Emmanuel is not there.
Yeah, while I wait for Emmanuel, you're okay.
Oh,
I guess.
Yeah. I thought the mic was on. Well, efficient, that's the word, Austin, to answer your question. Alex was efficient all through the fixture. He did the basic. He wasn't too enterprising. He stayed back. I barely saw him, contribute much to the attack. He was more concerned about shielding Wilfred Ndidi, who stuttered a bit, particularly after picking up that yellow card. Alex was professional all through the game. The final 5-10 minutes, I noticed that he was, like Bada mentioned, he was gasping for breath. He was tired. He was, but there was little the manager could do. He had taken off Osimhen. He had taken off a few quality players, and you needed that sort of experience on the pitch. Alex has matured, post-African Cup of Nations, and it's good to see him develop. It's a replica of what he's doing at Fulham with Calvin Bassey.
Yeah, I agree, because I always tell everyone, that Alex Iwobi is playing his prime football for Nigeria now. Today, he made his 83rd appearance. But that's a big deal. And I'm sure you want to come into it too, that if Alex Iwobi is giving us 100%, then the Super Eagles will be flying.
Absolutely. He's a gem, actually. One of my favorite Nigerian players. Consistency. He gives you, on average, between 7 and 9. He's racked up so many caps for a reason, under so many managers, and that's because you can bank on the quality that he brings. He can play wide, he can play through the middle, and in the absence of a creative genius like an Okocha or a Wilson Oruma, he's been the closest we've been able to offer over the years. He's done everything that's been asked of him in different roles, and he keeps producing. For me, for a player who, came through the Arsenal Academy, you can see that his football education is very solid in terms of, his discipline, being able
to
execute.
I think we lost Bada there, but I think that's how far we can even go without.
Okay, it's back.
Okay, Bada, I'll just let you land.
Yeah, so I was saying that today, he did play one very, very good ball over the top for Ademola Lookman. I think early in the second half, but it wasn't so much about creativity today. It was about just keeping things ticking along. Those 5-meter passes, ensuring that he got them through, getting the ball to the wide areas and tracking back, marking his man and closing people down. And he did those excellently well. And if we're going to have success against Zimbabwe, Alex Iwobi will have to have another good game. He's got 9 goals this season. I think 9 goals, 5 assists for Fulham. So he's a man on form, a man on fire. And I do expect that he'll bring his A game again against Zimbabwe.
I must say thank you so much.
No, Austin, you can't let them go. They didn't. None of them mentioned Victor Osimhen. I mean, he hasn't played the last 4 games, and he played it today, and we are having our first win. The Osimhen effect is happening with the Super Eagles. What do you guys think?
Best striker in the world for me. Best striker in the world. I mean, see, if Osimhen wasn't Nigerian, we would think much higher or much more highly of him. He's now the second all-time highest goal scorer for the Super Eagles at age 25 or 26.
26.
Just 26. And that just tells you everything. Look at the roll call of strikers that have played for the Super Eagles since inception. This guy at 26 is already the second highest scoring player for the Super Eagles, and today he did it again. It was a difference. Think about it. There was a world in which if Osimhen wasn't on that pitch, we could have played a goalless game. We could have huffed in front of goal aside the 2 goals that he took clinically, I can't remember the Rwandan goalkeeper making difficult saves. So we played well overall, but we lacked incision. We lacked the cutting edge, but for Victor Osimhen. So he was the difference maker today. He was the reason we backed 3 points. And for me, the best striker in the world.
Emmanuel?
Yeah.
Well, what's there to add? He's got 2 goals, Cecilia. We know his quality. We missed him during the first 4 games. He's back. Hopefully, he stays fit. Austin and Cecilia is crucial for our qualification. If he stays fit, I don't think we'll struggle to get goals. His quality, no need to add any more statement.
I agree. I totally agree. Victor Osimhen, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Scored his 25th goal in his 39th appearance.
Incredible.
That's a fantastic start right there. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Etim and
Pleasure.
Johnson, for your time on the show tonight. Best wishes to the Super Eagles. Okay, Cecilia, we're getting ready for the 2025 Southwest Games. You know, that's one also tied around sports development, talent discovery. And I hear that the officials paid a courtesy visit to Governor Babatunde Sanwo-Olu. How did that go right there in Lagos?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good one. The chairman of the Southwest Games Committee, Olarinwanjo Alfred, he led other members to actually visit the governor to seek for his support. The governor actually hinted that they're actually coming in late, but then they were with him. And of course, it's going to be held in different locations, you know, in Lagos, obviously. Teslim Balogun Stadium, though the pitch is not okay, but you still have the swimming pool, you still have the indoor sport hall, it's there. They're also going to be using the Onikon Stadium and also some other facilities, Yabatek, other facilities across Lagos. They presented him, of course, with the customized jersey, and not just that. The director of Lagos State Sports Commission, Leko Fatudu, was also there, you know, talking about what they intend to do, taking advantage of grassroots sport development to also create a record, you know, for the elite game. Let's take a listen to these guys, what they said to the governor, what they intend to do, use the Southwest Games, what they will use it for, because he's holding next week from 26th to 28th of March.
The tournament will have boxing, we have basketball, we have archery, we have football. So we are here to officially present to you to seek your good graces, to seek for your support and your good graces, Mr. Governor, sir. Because I know that you are the governor that cares about the youth and you care for youth empowerment. And on the social media, even in the media space, people have been talking about this. People that have read this, people that have heard about it, that they can't get anything better than they can't get someone better to endorse it than Governor Sanwo-Olu.
Organizers have told us that this is an opportunity to redefine grassroots sports, to redefine youth engagement, because essentially we are not into professional youth development. We are basically going across different states to look at talents. And we are also done something that is peculiar across Nigeria. For the first time, we are matching sporting peculiarities according to different communities. Right now, as at the time we went for our youth games, we have 4 gold medalists. So, drawn from Mushin. So a community can identify that if we are looking for boxers, we will go to Mushin and Oshodi. If we are looking for footballers, even though many of these communities have different talents, but we know that this is our catchment area. That is one thing we are doing in Lagos that is very unique. And we have also tapped into the database of Southwest Games to further look at how we can draw more stars who will continue to represent Lagos State.
That's the deal, Austin, and this is what I love about the Southwest Games. Keeping record, keeping that data. Because, you know, sports broadcasting, one thing we find it so difficult to actually report is data. You want to take a look at an athlete who competed 4 or 5 years ago, and you don't even know where the athlete is. You don't, maybe the age may have changed. Okay, I'm going to go there. But there's so many things that happen. But then now, you have that record, that database where you can go to and know that, okay, Olarinwanju, Rita competed, in 2024. And right now, she is competing at the National Sports Festival, still representing Lagos, not representing a state in the north. I mean, we just need to regularize all this.
And we need to add, that this is proper grassroots sports development. It's a multi-sport event. We're talking about talents under the age of 18, and we're going to have about 1,200 of them right there in Lagos from different states in the Southwest. I think that other regions should do this. Yes, we'll have a bit of that coming up with the South National Sports Festival, I think. Other regions.
Niger Delta Sports Festival.
Niger Delta, not the Sports Festival, yeah. You know, and I think that's also a good regional sports development program. But I want to see the NSC involved. The NSC should champion these things so that you have some level of monitoring, supervision in place, and then get these people to take it serious. I love the fact that Lagos seems to be doing so well. I covered the first edition of the Southwest Games so many years ago, and I'm glad that they've kept it going. Let's listen to the governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
Directing, the restiveness in youth into a positive energy, using sports as, as a strong tool, for social inclusion and for community development. Everybody will see their role, as part of, a community in which they want to develop, they want to throw back something, they want to, and everybody will never go to Olympics, but even at a community level, at smaller levels, that always can be engagement and competition, which will bring about healthy rivalry, amongst them. And once you do that, everybody has a sense of place, and everybody sort of like just believe that, they're part of government, they're part of the community, they're part of the society, and it backs, a completely different and better social order. So we're happy. I'm sure the ministry will be willing to give all the support that is required to make it, a success, and whatever it is of me to be done, I will also do, to make sure that you have success. It's right around the corner. I don't know why it's left that late, but it's okay. I'm sure they can make heavens happen, if I dare say so.
Mr. Governor, it's not okay. Tell them next time that they shouldn't leave it that late. I like that he mentioned that. Yeah. You see, and that right there is a big flaw. That's planning and organizing that we do not have. So thank you so much, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for letting them know, yes, you landed a way that wasn't so good. Say, oh, get it done. We should stop the fire brigade approach, because with the grassroots, you must. It's long-term planning, Cecilia. Yeah. But it's all good. We're going to have the 2025 Southwest Games.
Yeah, we can't wait for 26th of March. That's when it's starting, and the final day will be 28th of March. That's just next week. We were mentioning dates, but hey, it's just next week here. Wishing them all the best, especially the kids that will be competing in this Southwest Games. All right, we'll go to the NPFL quickly. Match day 30. And of course, we know there's some teams who will be eager to actually win to get out of the relegation waters. Nasarawa United is already doing that. It was Kabiru Balogun scored a 90th minute penalty, and that was what helped them to beat Rangers earlier today. And of course, that's what is starting match day 30. We're going to take a look at all the games that will be played this weekend. Just a confirmation of the results I mentioned earlier, match day 30. And of course, Nasarawa United and Rangers International ended 1-0 in favor of the home team. Now, other games that will be played are cross centers. Remember, Remo Stars, because they have some of their players with the national team, their game has been postponed. For Saturday, you have Plateau United and Kano Pillars. Ben Insurance will be hosting our Sunshine Stars. So the other games will be played on Sunday. And these are the games for Sunday. Enyimba hosting Bayelsa United, Heartland and Abia Warriors, Katsina United and Akwa United, Rivers United hosting Ikorodu City. Ikorodu, they won't have time to breathe. It was just Enyimba, now they are going away to Rivers. Shooting Stars, winless in the last 7. They are hosting Niger Tornadoes. Just maybe without a Papa Danny around, maybe this might just be the time for them to see if they can return to winning ways. Because if you look at the table, it's not looking pretty for them. Austin games this weekend. Okay, we'll just quickly take a look at that table right now. Remo Stars on 57 points after 29 games. And of course, goal difference of 17. This is where they're really, rocking it. They've won 18 games so far this season. Rivers United, after 29 matches, of 49 points, the second on the table. They've won 13. See the difference between Remo Stars and Rivers there. Rangers, of course, they've played one more game than this. Even if the teams behind them get to win their games, they won't be able to. Well, they're gonna once Ikorodu City, can they even beat Rivers? I doubt that will happen. But then they know that they understand they need to keep it up. But yeah, bottom four, Nasarawa United, a little bit, not so much. But hey, they moved up a little bit on 33 points after 30 matches. They've won 9 games this season, losing 12. Sunshine Stars also in the mix in the bottom 4. Aqua United still there. Of course, Lobby Stars at the bottom, 23 points from 29 matches. Of course, how many games have they lost? 16. Yes, that's why they are where they are. You don't lose 16 games in 29 games and expect to actually sitting pretty. Austin?
I know, Cecilia, but that's the story of Lobby Stars. I think they are down and out. But look at Aqua United and Sunshine Stars. They've lost 14 games, What's the difference between them and Lobby Stars? And with Sunshine Stars these days, is when they need to win, they find a way to, play a draw. So that's why they are sitting pretty at that relegation zone. For Aqua United, I think 4 points from their last 2 games, but it's not counting for anything because of the struggle that they've had from the start of the season. And now they're going to be taking on Kwara United. Kwara United lost in Enugu. They were baptized by Rangers 3-0. So Aqua United will be facing a very difficult task when they confront Kwara United in Ilorin. But let's see. But I want to see what Rivers United can do with Ikorodu City. Yeah. Can they keep applying pressure? Because they know that there's a tendency that Remo Stars will beat Lobby Stars away. That game has been postponed for some reason, but Rivers United need to stay focused and beat Ikorodu City because they have the momentum. Remember, they went to El Kanemi to shatter their home record. So they will be saying to themselves that they need to beat Ikorodu City to get the conversation going. And of course, Eimba, can they do just enough to, consolidate their position on the league table when they take on Bayelsa United? That's another pretty decent team also. And of course, Bendel Insurance, Sunshine Stars should get us talking. Bendel Insurance, I think, slim defeats in their last game, but they've shown some level of consistency. And with Nasarawa United now saying they want to get out of the relegation zone, other teams need to start winning, Cecilia.
They definitely will have to start winning. All right, before we go, yes, we're still talking about the first lady, the very first woman to be heard of international world sports. Kirsty Coventry, she's been saying someone paved the way for her, and also she also wants to pave the way for other women. I'm talking about Anita DeFrance. She was the first woman to actually contested for presidency in the IOC. Now she is 72 years. She wasn't at this event because she's actually battling some health crisis, but she paid tribute to her because she paved the way for her. She also wants to pave the way for other women to ensure that, yes, they can achieve what they put their mind to. Let's listen to her before leaving.
In terms of the significance of being the first woman, being the first African, I have to say that there have been incredible women that have come before me. One of them sitting in the room today, which I might get a little emotional about, with Anita DeFrance, a huge inspiration to me and to many women. And I was just really proud that I could make her proud. She was the first woman to run for this position. And like I said, she inspired me. She's been a huge mentor of mine since I came into the movement in 2013. And yeah, it is significant. I think it will take a little bit of time to truly set in, but women like her paved the way for women like me, and I want to pave the way for younger generation.
Talking about paying it forward, Austin.
So she's just trying to say now that the women have power. They're not going to let go of it, Cecilia. But I get it. We're all celebrating it. I think it's time for the female to show what they can have. And of course, it's time for Africa. All the best, Coventry. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
And thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a fantastic weekend.